Today we are going over the book that, for me personally, defined the 90s. Yes, as we came into the 90s, we saw the standalone X-Men book. We got updated version of X Factor, X-Edge, and so forth, and they all kind of had that attitude. But X-Force was something different because it went from the New Mutants, which we saw was sort of campy, but still had a lot of dark. Well, not campy. I guess the first few issues were kind of campy, but then I think they found their stride when it started to be more horror-based, as Bill Sienkiewicz and Chris Claremont introduced, like the Demon Bear and Legion, and the very corrupted version of Karma, stuff like that. So spoilers, we've been kind of going over those here and there, so sorry. But when Liefeld took over, the whole tone of the book changed. I mean, Louise Simonson's run was okay, but when they introduced Cable and Strife and Domino and Gideon, and then Cable basically said we have to be more than what we are, and Sam said something like, oh, we need to be some sort of like X-Force or Force or something like that. And so New Mutants ended, and in the early parts of the 90s, we launched X-Force. And so they're essentially outlaws now. And so for me, this just kind of showed where we were going, and this wraparound page just showed that this is not the New Mutants that everyone knew from the 80s. This was something completely different. And even like you could tell people had matured, like Sam and Boom Boom and Richter. And so without gushing anymore, I know a lot of people bag on Liefeld, but I get it. But to me, I grew up with it. I loved it. Yes, his artwork choices can be questionable at times, but I still enjoy it overall. So this is a force to be reckoned with. Antarctica, June 4th. 7 silent figures stand motionless, brooding along with their thoughts. And the weight of the road they have chosen to follow. Once they were children, delighted in a dream. Now they're soldiers, fighting for the freedom of their kind. And right there, it just completely shows what's the difference between the New Mutants, who were essentially going to be the next generation of the X-Men following Xavier's dream. This is essentially kind of the same, where everyone always kind of compared the New Mutants as being children of war, or children. You all know what I'm talking about. But Cable essentially has weaponized these kids, and they have grown up very much so. So they are going after, again, the Mutant Liberation Force. It says some would call them heroes, some would call them rebels. They fight for a fading dream in a world of nightmares. The next generation of mutants, brought to you by Rob Liefeld, everything but. Fabian Nicieza, words. Chris Eliopoulos, letters. Brad Vancata, color art. Bob Harris, baggy eyes. And Tom DeFalco, baggy boss. And again, I've said that, I just miss when you feel like you're part of the joke. They just made you feel like you're a part of it. It's just, a lot of that is sorely missing, where you can have subtle humor without being like, oh my God, look at this coffee. I know, like LMFAO, like coffee is life, and here's my kittens, and we're going to sit down and eat in every 5 panels, and we're going to make mom jokes. I guess you can't say mom jokes, dad jokes, mom jokes, bad jokes. How about that? The print date on this was August 1991. And even the artwork nowadays, like, yes, this was really before digital art really started catching on, so this is still traditionally done. And I see a lot of comic books now, because I don't really buy new comics anymore unless it's something that piques my curiosity. But we've gone over several. I'm not going to get too far into it with this book, but we have talked about how in some comics it looks too over digitally done, or it looks like it was just done quickly, or there's those ones that I've seen where it's just, I feel like I'm reading a web comic and I'm like, this was a $5 comic book? What, just because the cover? Burf. And so here's Sam, him and Cable always button heads. We're just taking out the grunts, sir. I know, Sam. This is the MLF's cannon fodder. Well, think of it as a warm-up for the big show. On my home world, all battles are meant to be prepared for with equal vigor. Yeah, well, at this rate, I'll be out of time bombs and I'll be all pooped out. So Cable saying we need to push. We need to push. And of course, we used to get a badass fight. Come to play, buffoon. Come to die. The killing game is best left to those willing to kill, Shatterstar. You doubt my honor as a warrior? This is your second mistake, Reaper. Slunk takes off his hand. Your first was in choosing to do battle with me. You won't kill me. It's not your way. My way and the way of my mates may be two completely different things, Reaper. Lucky for you, I am willing to temper my actions on this world to suit those of my new comrades in arms, for the time being. This is the Shatterstar that I know. Not the Shatterstar who's... I don't know what he is now, but wasn't he like at one point... The book was kind of jokey, and he was the super for a apartment complex full of mutants or something. So let me pose it to you this way: do we want to spend $5 on a comic seeing Shatterstar walking down the street, walking a dog, and talking to people on the street, or do we want to pay $5 for seeing him kick ass and trying to temper himself from what he's learned on Mojo World? I'll leave that up to you. But this book just hits high octane right off the bat. And then, of course, in true 90s fashion, gorgeous splash page of Strife, seeing all the action. We will have to nail Strife. Indeed you do, Cable. Indeed you do. Thumbelima, contact 0. Begin teleportation of the remaining MLF members to a safer location. What of the 4 in direct combat now? They are lost to us for now. Better to lose some fingers in order to save the hand. No. And just look at all these wild colors. Vibrant. Oh, just absolutely gorgeous. And then Thumbelina just looking absolutely just weird in comparison to Strife. Just shows the different types of characteristics of each villain. Absolutely beautiful work there. And then, of course, Feral, which Hasbro... Where's our Feral? We finally got a Wolfsbane. Now where the hell is our Feral? I'm just saying. And she just goes to town on what the hell's this guy's name? Wild Side. I always want to call him Wild Child, but I'm like, this isn't Kyle. This is Wild Side. And I kind of wish this was another thing. So we went over the X-Men Legend box set a while back, and that came with Strife, 0. I can't remember the green girl's name off the top of my head. Random, and I think that was it. I may be forgetting somebody, but anyway, it would have been cool if it came with Strife, 0, and the rest of the MLF. That would have been a great box set. Just how they made an Alpha Flight set. It's like, hello, but it is what it is. Now, Strife gets away, but a lot of the MLF members are taken down. And so the team's like, seems kind of simple for 6 weeks of training. Goes down in the win column, that's what counts. Ain't there a little more to that winning and losing? What about the kind of fashion statement we make? That should count for something, right? Muck-a-muck. All that counts is that he got away again. So we see the intensity of what how Cable thinks in his very militaristic thought process. And then, of course, we have to cut away because, remember, Sunspot left the team in issue 99. And it's because Gideon's basically want to groom him into what his father was doing. And sadly, that's just a very bad situation for Bobby. And then, of course, this is the first appearance of, what the hell's this guy's name? It's not J.G. Blackwell. That's the dude from Transformers. Commander Bridge. There it is. I knew my brain would catch it at some point. But we come to find out that he does have some sort of history with Cable. What it is, we don't know yet, but we know that this guy, basically his whole reason for being is he wants to put him down. And then we get back, of course, to Sam and Cable. He goes, are you listening to me? Yep. Need a hand with the diagnostic check? Nope. Can I ask you a question? Yep. We had the MLF in the palm of our hands yesterday. Why did we let them get away? We severely crippled both their operations and their manpower. You have tried to go beyond that would have just jeopardized our unit more than I would have preferred. I wasn't sure that you cared about us one way or another. I do. But you held us back. Are you afraid of Strife killing one of us the way he killed your son? That's a slight misconception, born of your old friends Richter's naivete. The young man in question was Tyler. He was like a son to me, not my flesh and blood. A part of my soul maybe, but not my body. Now, with this said, let me know. I cannot remember. Is that retconned? Because in Wolverine, again, spoilers, Wolverine 100. 100? Yes. The Dark Riders, led by Genesis, who was Tyler, supposed to be Cable's son, kidnaps Wolverine and tries to pump him full of adamantium again that was taken from, what the hell's the guy's name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Big blue guy with adamantium. But anyway, Genesis was trying to make Wolverine part of the Dark Riders, and it failed. Wolverine killed Genesis, and then there was and this is another thing why I miss Wizard magazine, is you can mail in for certain comics that were Wizard exclusives. So it was a Wolverine half issue, and it's basically Wolverine sitting down with Cable, apologizing to him that he had to put his son down, but it was one of those dire circumstances. So let me know if this still holds up, where he just considered Tyler a son or whatnot. It was kind of odd. And apparently, too, this is the first, again, spoilers if you've never read this issue, but this is the first time that Cable ever uses his telekinesis powers in a comic book, to kind of see that he is born of the powers of Scott Summers and Jean Grey, because yes, even though it was Madeline Pryor, Madeline was a clone of Jean. So you have to say that it's the same thing. And Domino's like, hey, what do you think you're doing? Simplifying my grunt work. Don't worry, I wouldn't have done it if anyone else was around. Well, if you're going to hold back on telling these kids everything there's to know about you, you better be prepared to sing like a canary if they catch you pulling stunts like that. So it's interesting to see that even though Cable has taken this team on, there's still a lot that he keeps from them. And of course, you see everyone starting to converge on the Atarak Mountain, where the X-Force's team is set up. So this book introduces the new team, the new tone of the modern X-Men in 91, 92. My brain decided to go on a little vacation when I said that. 91. This is not the New Mutants by any way, shape, or form. And it was just something new and fresh. And why this book, along with Deadpool, is still talked about to this day, because Liefeld did something. Same thing with McFarlane, why everyone at Image was considered rock stars in the 90s, because they just gave this tone to comics that was never seen before, in terms of just the big muscles and pouches and action, and why we still love it to this day, and why we long for like a renaissance of comic books like this. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop, or wherever you like to get your action figures and comics, and grab this series. This one came with the Cable card. I finally broke down and bought the one that's still in the poly bag with the Deadpool card, but being able to have a reader copy and then having the other one up on my wall, I'm one happy little camper. So with that said, if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little XForce bell next subscribe, that way I can get to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.